Thank you, Honourable Minister. Are there any other members wishing to speak to the Amendment A1? The Honourable Member for Fort Saskatchewan-Bigba.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the news that I was listening to on the radio last night. It was around clarity of roles and why this legislation is important and what it seeks to make more clear. And I know that that my experience as an MLA since being elected, as I'm sure with a lot of experiences around the chamber, is that sometimes you don't know when there is an issue who the first person that who the first person that your phone call that you make should be to. And sometimes when parents contact my office and they have questions and concerns of what's going on in their kids' school, they often, when they come to me, they're frustrated because they didn't know if they should go to the teacher, they didn't know if they should go to the principal, they didn't know if they should go to the superintendent, they didn't know if they should go to the school board, and sometimes they don't even know who all those avenues are. And so anytime that we can make more clear the roles of where responsibility lies for what, I think it's something that acts in the best interest of families, of parents, of students. And so Rob Breckenridge, who I was listening to on, I think it was 6:30 TED last night, was very clear about what the point of the legislation is, that it is to make clear that the responsibility is not put on a teacher that is the one that is engaged to make sure that they facilitate these clubs, that the responsibility is not on them to inform parents. That and we're not talking, like, we're talking about all clubs. That's what this section 9 does, is it makes clear that there is curriculum in school and then there is extracurricular activities outside of school, which is not curriculum, hence extracurricula. So the idea that this is somehow to create a wall between parents and their kids, it actually does the opposite. It makes clear what the role of the teacher is and what the role of the parent is. I know growing up that whenever I had issues in my life, if I was starting to date or if I were doing any sort of those things that kids learn about themselves and explore as they grow up, I told my dad as I was ready to tell him, because we didn't always agree. I grew up in a really religious household that often disagreed with how things were in my generation. And so I think it's important for parents to know what their role is, that it's the responsibility of the parent to know if they are a member of the Harry Potter Club, if they are a member of the of the Mathletes Club, if they're a member of these things that their kids are taking an interest in. The responsibility lies with the parents, and it is important to have safe spaces for students that are vulnerable, that have all sorts of really shocking statistics of how hard it is still to navigate this world that has not been built for them to be a truly included part of it. And so that the fact that this section makes clear that it is a parent's responsibility to be involved with their child's lives, to be close with them, to be having clear lines of communication, I think is really important. As an adult talking with my dad, I've made very clear with him, and he understands. He understands that if he didn't know something that was going on in my life, or he knew that it was his responsibility. He knew that if he was not the first person to know, that it was indicative of our lines of communication and not something that was someone else's responsibility. So I think that is why this section is so incredibly important, and I would really like to know why the opposition would want to maintain the current way where that clarity is not there, why the opposition would actually choose a system that puts other bodies in between a parent-child relationship and actually moves that responsibility where it really should not be. That's I think what I would like to know from the opposition, Madam Chair.
Good job.